Thank you, everybody, for joining. We've got a good-sized group here in the building and a really good-sized group there on the Zoom meeting also in that. So thank you for coming out and joining us for our presentation event tonight. Tonight we have Ben Evans, a Lone Tree Photo Club member who is going to be presenting on photographing hummingbirds. I know a lot of us have seen his images, whether it be on our exhibition nights or competition nights and that, but he's got some amazing photos, and tonight he's going to share some of his techniques on how he captures the hummingbirds, freezing the action, in which he has ways of showing great details with their amazingly fast wings. So really looking forward to seeing the presentation. For those that are on Zoom, I don't know if it looks like on the screen there on the monitor. Right now, you just see me, but soon to see the rest of the room. But he's got a really nice display out here that includes a hummingbird feeder, camera, a few flashes, and other gear and so forth in that. So really looking forward to seeing how he demonstrates how he puts all of that together. Couple of other upcoming events that I wanted to bring up is April 3rd. That'll be our competition night. Should have a judge identified here in the next few days. I'm waiting for a couple feedback on a couple. But this one is a themed competition, and the themes on this one are motion and leading lines. So hopefully you have already, but if you don't, go out and capture some images that have those. Again, that's April 3rd. The submissions are due the Sunday before that, which I think is Easter Sunday, March 31st. More information is out there on the website, and also there was an email that just went out a few days ago with further details there. The next presentation will be in roughly a month. That'll be Wednesday, April 17th, and that one is going to be on lighting, and that's going to be Elaine Graves. This is a two-part. She's going to do, obviously we have our Wednesday night meetings are free for members to attend, and she's going to be doing more of a presentation that night. And that's going to be followed on Saturday, that April 20th, with a workshop that will also be on lighting, where she'll take some of the information that she's sharing during the presentation, and actually it'll be a hands-on workshop. A little bit more on that. I'm going to cover a little bit more details on that here in a few minutes. But it'd be worth it to come to both the Wednesday night meeting followed by the Saturday workshop on April 20th. On May 1st, we have our next exhibition night. We just had one of those a couple weeks ago. Again, for those, you're encouraged to submit up to 4 images to display and discuss with other attendees in the room. It's not a judged event, but it's always a really good opportunity to share your images, get some feedback in that from the members, and overall really good learning experience. After that, we have on May 15th, Lone Tree member Carino Zaragoza is going to be presenting on wildlife photography. And the next thing that we have there is June 5th. We have that's the following competition, and that one's going to be open, much like we had on our last competition. No themes, so pretty much anything goes as long as obviously it's appropriate. A couple of other things I wanted to bring up is a couple of other things that members are putting together, and that more to follow on this, but we may have a workshop on Saturday, June 1st. I won't go into any of the details because we're still putting some of that together on that, but circle that date, and more information hopefully to follow soon. Also, later on in the, I guess, late summer, early fall, September 6th, 7th, and 8th, Lone Tree member Darren White is going to do it's 3 nights, 6th, 7th, and 8th. I think it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in September, and it's going to be night photography. Darren White does a lot of night photography workshops, and so he's offered to do those for the Lone Tree Photo Club group at discounted prices. And while it's 6th, 7th, and 8th, 3 nights, you don't have to go all nights. You can go 1, 2, or 3, depending upon your availability. But again, more information to follow on that. It's still a few months away. So I just wanted to make sure everybody gets that on their calendars if they're interested in attending Darren White's night photography workshops. Other things that are coming up here, there's the Lone Tree Art Center has the Exploring the Light. All of the entries have gone in. Information has come in terms of those who have had images that were selected to be on display there. So the next upcoming dates that we've got Tuesday, March 26th is the drop-off date. So if you have images that were selected, make sure that you've got a print in some format to drop off. I think it's between 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock on Tuesday, March 26th. And then the Friday of that week, which is March 29th, will be the opening reception. I believe that's from 6 o'clock p.m. till 8 p.m. That's at the Lone Tree Art Center. And Darren White is the judge. So he and many others from the group and that will be there in attendance. They usually have refreshments and beverages there at the event. I mentioned earlier that there's that Elaine's April 17th meeting will be followed by a Saturday workshop. That's again on April 20th. She's going to be, and again, this is a hands-on workshop, so you're encouraged to bring your own cameras. If you have your own lighting gear, feel free to bring it. She will be bringing some of her own. The idea is to get she'll be demonstrating, you know, how light works, both hard light on subjects, a lot of like product photography, food photography type demonstrations, and then also how that transitions over to photographing with artificial light using soft light, so larger soft boxes and other techniques and so forth to get sort of that more flattering look on certain types of products. That is going to be, I mentioned, on April 20th, Saturday, and that is here at the Lone Tree Civic Center, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. and at a bargain cost of $30 for such a workshop. So again, that's what we have there. And
how did they sign up for it?
It's out on the website. There's a link to sign up, or registration on the website, right, Bruce? I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
Okay. Yeah, so if you go to the Lone Tree Photo Club website, there's a link there to go out and register. And I believe it's limited to 10 attendees. Is that correct?
10 max.
10 max, right. So because again, space and setting up different lighting scenarios and so forth.
So
yeah.
we'll be working in this room.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on how many people we have, if we have 10, we'll work in pairs. If we have, 6, we might be able to get away with having our own little station set up. So it'll depend on how many people we have. But
Great.
yeah, we want to have room for people, so we may have to buddy up.
Yeah, and for those who have seen some of, I think most of them have seen Elaine's work. She had one of the highest scores in the last competition when there were the shoes and so forth and that. But she has a lot of really amazing food photography that I think it was last year, the pancakes one, right? So again, a lot of the things that she's won awards here and elsewhere and so forth that have been with the use of the types of lighting and that should be demonstrating, and the hands-on part of it is real beneficial. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and again, tonight's presentation is going to be on hummingbirds. Ben Evans, looking forward. Just looking in front of me at some of the gear here, I'm really curious to see how this all gets set up. But I'll go ahead and turn it over to Ben, and we'll go with tonight's program.
Bruce asked me to come and talk about hummingbird photography, and I guess I was a little bit surprised and a little bit flattered, maybe. But it's something that I really like to do and I have a lot of fun with. What I want to kind of talk about tonight is a little bit different way to do it. When I was getting ready for this presentation, I went out and Googled to see if there was anybody that might already have a YouTube video or something about photographing hummingbirds the way I'm going to show you to do it tonight. And I didn't find anything. So this is something that I learned at a seminar last summer. This is nothing that I invented. I'm not that smart, but I'm just going to share with you what I learned there. So what we're doing with the technique and with all the flashes is we're using those to kind of freeze the motion, so you can get a lot of really detailed look at these guys, even though they're zipping around so fast you can hardly see them. And the way we're going to do that, go ahead to the next slide, is we're trying to freeze the motion. I went out and I Googled best hummingbird pictures and then clicked on show me images, and I just randomly copied 6 of them here. And they're all great images. I don't have any complaints. I'd be happy if I had some of these, in my portfolio. But if you, can you go backwards to the tile again? What I'm going to show you tonight is how to do this, how to freeze it. So, okay, yeah, forward 2. So the hummingbirds are flapping their wings at about 70 beats per second. So they're really fast, and you're never going to get them if you're trying to stop the motion with your shutter. And so what we're going to do is use flash to stop them. So how does that work? So flash duration is usually somewhere around 1/400th of a second, but as you back the power off on your flashes, it's not changing the brightness of the flash, it's changing the duration. And so it keeps getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And that's the technique that we're going to use. And I'm sorry, Elaine, if I'm stealing anything from you.
Probably not.
Okay.
There's a lot of things I'm not that you might expect that I would.
So I shoot with a Canon R5. Its fastest shutter speed is 8,000th of a second. But the hummingbirds are going much faster than that. So there's no way that there's no setting that you can use with just the camera to do it. And we're going to shoot with a really high f-stop. And it may surprise you that we're going to shoot at f/25. And the reason we're doing that is for a couple of reasons. So this is just a little slide on flash duration. This is how ISO, ISO, how they measure a flash's performance. And there's 2 numbers. There's something called a T01. And what that is from when the flash has put out about 10% of its energy, and it goes up and comes back down to where there's only 10% left. So we're just going to dip our toe in this, and then we're going to pull back out of it. So don't get too scared. T05 is the one that most of the manufacturers and stuff will publish on their flashes. And if you are out trying to figure out what the performance of this flash versus that one is, you're probably going to see T05 numbers. Not very helpful for what we're doing. We're more interested in this first number. So what I have here are Canon Speedlight 600 EX. And one of the things I want to say is you don't need this fancy of gear to do this. In fact, you're probably smarter if you have cheaper gear, cheaper flashes, because you're going to be doing this outside, of course, with wind and motion and moving around and stuff. And if you kick one of these light stands over accidentally, you might be sorry. But is it KEH, the place that sells used camera gear? KEH. Okay. So one of those places, if you can find, we're going to use 5, and I'm sorry I didn't have 2 of the little pieces. I couldn't find them, so we're all pretending like there's flashes here tonight. But if you can pick up some used flashes for $30 a piece or $50 a piece or whatever, you don't need anything that's this fancy. So, and we're going to shoot at 1/32 of a power, 1/32 power. Remember, as we do that, the duration of the flash keeps getting shorter and shorter as we go from 1 on down. So the T5 is 1/15,000th of a second, or the T1, which is really the one that we're more interested in, is still faster than the shutter on even a modern camera. Any questions with this? Okay. Okay, so what do we need to do this? We need a camera. We're looking for a 300mm lens is optimal, but anything between about a 100 and a 400 or 500 will work. You'll end up having to move your camera a little bit different from the distances I'm going to give you here in just a few minutes. But about a 300, however you get to a 300 power lens is about the right place to be. You need some sort of a remote trigger so you can trigger your flashes, whether you're using a popper or something like these that are already all integrated. That makes it nice, but it doesn't have to be that. So 5 light stands, when we were, yeah.
Did you use it,
I
your remote
think
trigger is
so.
firing all these flashes, correct?
Yes,
As opposed
Yeah.
to like firing one and having the others fire based on seeing that light.
I would have to say I haven't tried that, so I don't know for sure, but I think it would. I mean, the speed of light's really fast.
And otherwise,
It's-
you're putting all these on the same channel and the same.
Yes.
Obviously, you see that.
So I was just
Right.
thinking, if you're looking to buy cheaper flashes.
Yeah.
Then that would be, if that works, that would be a way to do it.
Yes,
Yeah, I don't think it would be any different with using a flash in slave mode.
Yeah,
They're all
Yeah.
gonna pretty much fire at the same time. There might be a slight,
Millisecond.
yeah, millisecond of a delay
That's what I
between
mean.
primary
Yeah.
and secondary.
Whether that works as precise as his is with the short,
Yeah,
the short time frame.
Yeah.
Actually, all connect that quickly.
I haven't tried it, but I suspect that it would work just fine.
yeah, cause
Yeah.
in my, a lot of times I'll use, what I have right now are two, Flashpoint. I have Flashpoint 300, Flashpoint 300, 200, and then a Yongnuo flash. And the Yongnuo flash, if I need to use it, I'll put it on slave mode and trigger it off the other two.
yeah, I know the slave mode will
Yeah.
work with all these. I just wanted to confirm that we're still gonna get that
Power.
high speed. If you get the low power, you're still gonna.
If
flash
I-
it at the
Yeah, do you
same
still have
time,
the same
which
sync?
makes sense. It would work.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No. And please ask questions and stuff as they come up. That doesn't bother me in the slightest. So flash trigger, and then of course we need a Hummingbird feeder, just a plain old feeder, doesn't matter. And then, my wife makes my backgrounds. She's a watercolor artist, but this is just green acrylic paint on a piece of poster board, and then in a pie tin, she crumpled up some paper towels and put some different colors in the pie tin and just blotted them on. So this is like less than $10 to put together a background. When you're doing this, and it may came up in a slide here in a minute, you can also use a tree, a bush, whatever, as long as you respect the kind of the distance away from the hummingbird feeder that we are, so that it'll be nice and blurred for you. Hopefully this helps out the folks at home a little bit more, who can't really see the spacing here. But we've got the low power. What we're gonna try and do is get 4 flashes, and we want them all to be about 3 feet away from the feeder. We wanna leave ourselves a hole to shoot through here. We're trying to get one under, coming up at their neck, one from each side, and one on the top. And we're gonna set them all on 1/32 power. So, we're also gonna light up the background with another flash, and we're gonna leave it on 1/32 power as well. So we're getting them fast. Camera, again, if you're using 300 millimeters, it's gonna be somewhere around 6 feet. And the background, typically we want 5 feet. I've got a little bit further back because I didn't want to pinch Mike out of this discussion here. And it kind of gets in the way for the people on Zoom. So does that make sense? This one is the critical one right here. Okay, camera settings to get this to happen the way you want it to. Aperture again is f/25. So what does f/25 do for us? We're choking down the ambient light, right? So that we're not going to get blur because of the sun or because of what other lighting we have. It's only going to be from the flashes. Shutter speed of 1/60th of a second. So pretty much any camera that folks in here are using, you can probably set 160th. Sorry, I say that wrong. I did, didn't I? 1/60th. Yes, this is the correct number. Sorry, said it wrong.
Real quick, a question just for those of us that are, Bruce mentioned that you also have a handout. Is that?
I do.
Will some of these details be?
Yes.
Just so we don't have to write down all of it.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Yeah.
And this will be recorded.
Okay, great.
Yeah, see, there's the Zoom recording. There is the PowerPoint out there
We
too, or
can put
do
it
you?
out there if you want.
That's fine with me. So you can come back and look at this again. And there's also a 2-page handout that has like the measurements and the settings and stuff, so you don't have to write it all down now. So, yeah, thanks.
And that, it was those two, like this page right here. would be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, this page is on the handout if you go to the website and grab it. So, manual focus, pretty much we're doing manual everything, right? Setting up the camera manually, manually focus, one shot. Because we'll overrun the flashes, and you won't have anything but black slides. So then, when we're out shooting, we're gonna turn on the histogram, and this is how we're gonna adjust. If things are off just a little bit, we're not gonna make adjustments based on camera. We're not gonna change the settings. We're gonna actually physically move the flashes. So if it's too dark or it's out of balance or something, you're gonna move the flashes. Now, you know that the light fall off is exponential, right? So if we have the distance, it's 4 times brighter, right? So it's not gonna take a whole lot of movements with these guys to get the even lighting or whatever you find that you're looking for, didn't have in the last shot. Okay. And blinkies or highlights, zebras, whatever you call them or whatever your manufacturer calls them. Nice to have those on. Some of the things we want to turn off, electronic shutter. Why? Rolling shutter, there you go. Okay. See, you guys are all experts. We're going to turn off image stabilization, which most people recommend you do when your camera's on a tripod anyway. And going to turn off live exposure. Why? Remember, we're using the flash to freeze the motion, and we're blocking out the ambient light with that really tight shutter speed. So if you're trying to figure out what's going on using live view, you're going to have a black screen again. You're not going to have anything to look at.
Are you manually focusing or?
Yes,
Focus?
yes, manually focusing.
Hard to manually focus on a hummingbird that's jumping all over.
You'll do it on the,
Yeah,
your object that's stationary.
perfect timing. Could you be my brave volunteer? Can you come around for just a second? I know, putting you on the spot. Okay, so you start by flapping your wings as fast as hummingbird. Okay, so if you put your hand right here,
You just can't see it moving, see?
yeah. Okay, so you put your hand right there, this way. The way the hummingbird's gonna come in.
Ah.
That's what we're gonna focus on. So get a friend, whatever you want to do to put something up here that's gonna be right near the feeder.
Okay.
And you're gonna
Pre-focus.
focus, you're gonna pre-focus, and it's all gonna be manual, and it's all gonna be locked in. You're not gonna touch it again. Okay?
At 25, you're gonna have a,
On the other side. I know.
Yeah.
so you can be close and you should be good.
F25, you're gonna have a range of in focus of about 5.5 to 6 inches. Okay? The hummingbird's only gonna be in focus when he's parallel to your lens and about 6 inches. And I guess I'm giving my butt to everybody on Zoom, aren't I? Sorry, guys.
I can see.
Yep, with aperture of
So-
25, have some depth of field that's provided with right there.
Yeah, but it's not gonna be a whole lot. So,
What, 300 millimeters?
yeah, you're
Sure,
300
sure.
millimeters at 9 feet at F25. And you should come up with something like roughly 5.5, 6 inches. So, we're gonna take a whole bunch of pictures. Okay, any questions on this? That's a kind of a dense slide. There's a lot of stuff there. Okay, so all 5 flash units, all of them, we're gonna set to 1/32 power. And if you experiment a little bit, or if you think we're kidding about the number, even if you bump it up to 1/16, you're gonna start to see blur at the ends of the wings. That's all it takes. So it's kind of cool. Okay, background already talked about a little bit. Don't go out and buy really expensive stuff. You don't need it. It's all going to be way out of focus, part of this style. All right, so we already talked about the depth of field being somewhere right around 6 inches. And we've already had a brave volunteer show us how to focus on a hand. And so that works great. What you want to do is just make sure that you're getting kind of in line with the way you think the hummingbird's going to approach. You're probably going to have this on some sort of a stand or something, not hanging from a light in the room. And then, okay, so what we're going to do is, if we were looking through the camera lens, we want the feeder to be right along the side here, so that as they come and fly in and fly out, we've got lots of room with background to try and get a shot of them. And so we just line that up on the edge, and then the background. So this is what they're going to look like out of the camera. Here's the edge of the background, feeder, and your guys are going to end up. You can try and use a flower. If you want to try and use a flower instead of a hummingbird feeder, these guys are after efficiency and as much calories as they can pack in. They're going to favor the feeder, but they will eventually go to the flower. If you put it there, the other way to kind of cheat on that, like doing here, is you put the flower just in front of the feeder. And then as they come in to get the feeder, it actually looks to the camera like they're coming in to get the flower. You can cheat. These are all untouched, out of the camera photos. No processing. B in there that decided he wanted to join in too. But you're going to end up taking a whole bunch of photos. The keeper rate is going to be like 1 out of 20 or 1 out of 25, something like that. So you're doing this on a Saturday afternoon. You have the refreshing beverage of your choice. You've got a remote trigger set up. You're sitting kind of over there where Dave is, or something like that. And just as they come up, you're hitting it. And those little guys are so fast, you're going to hit the shutter speed and you're going to swear that you got him right square in the middle. And when you look at it in post, he's not even in the frame. So lots and lots of photos. On the seminar weekend, it was 4 days. I shot, I think, 5,000 frames. And then at night, I was throwing them out. And I think I took home about 700 and continued to pare down from there. That was just the ones that were like complete misses. No question. Yeah.
On the chat, Crystal Kraft said that one thing she does in terms of trying to get the hummingbird to go to the one that you want it to go to, is she puts tape over the other 30
Yeah.
to again guide them over.
Yep, get them in your frame. Yes, absolutely. That's great. Thank you. So the hummingbirds don't really mind all of this equipment and all of this stuff going off, and they don't really care a whole lot about the flashes. When we were at the seminar, we were in Edgar, Arizona, which is eastern Arizona, almost into New Mexico. Hundreds and hundreds of hummingbirds and hundreds of feeders, all available to them. And the guys would keep coming back to even with the flashes going off, and we were working in groups of 2, and they had us in a big tent. So it was like, a shooting range or a gallery or something. And they would just keep coming back. None of that bothered them at all. And again, remember, it's bright daylight to them, even though you're using your flash and you're shutting down all the ambient light. They don't know about any of that. They're just happy. And it's full light out for them. They will quickly adjust to the flash, usually within 5 or 10 minutes. They'll come back and they'll stop worrying about it. What they are sensitive to is the motion. So anything that moves, and I've done this before, and probably some of you have. If you come up and just stand frozen when there's a hummingbird, it'll come land on your hand and eat. It may take it 10 minutes or so to get used to you, but it doesn't care. So they're pretty friendly. It makes them really fun subjects to shoot. Okay. Feeding times, when they're here, which is, they usually start showing up in about May and they usually take off in early September. During that time, there's really no good or bad time. And again, because we're choking out all the ambient light with the style of shooting, you can shoot in the middle of the day, you can shoot in the evening, whatever. They're going to start out at first light or about 45 minutes before sunrise, and they're going to go till about 45 minutes after sunset. During that time, they're just going to keep coming and going. Doesn't matter if the sun's out full, it's cloudy, it's rainy, it's whatever. Don't care. You can still do this. Best flower types, they like red the best. And that's why all the hummingbird feeders are red. But they'll go for just about anything. And you'll see in some more photos here, blue, purple. They like the flowers that are kind of shaped like trumpets or horns. I'm not a biologist, sorry, I don't know. But you know, anything that they can get their beak up in and there's nectar up in there, they'll go for. Foxtails, bluebells, anything like that, they'll go for. And if you, so they are kind of bullies. They're outgoing personalities, and every once in a while somebody decides that they're going to take over the feeder and chase all the other hummingbirds off. So that can be really fun to take pictures of until they finally kind of do chase everybody else off. And the trick for getting around that one is just set up another feeder like 15 feet away. If it's less than 15, they try and protect both feeders. But if you move them just a little bit further apart, then the bully can have his and you can still have fun a few feet away. Okay, so after you've shot your thousands of images, yeah.
Clear, sugar water or the red sugar water?
Pretty much everyone says use clear now to stay away from the red dye.
Red dye.
That the red dye is kind of
Don't
the,
use honey.
yeah, I haven't.
No, you can't use honey because it somehow bugs whatever they're doing, so.
Your hand up,
Okay,
and if you went to the link in the handout, it said just use sugar water, no color, no honey, nothing in it, just straight sugar water.
yeah.
And you don't have to go like that.
Yeah, so I probably should have said this to begin with. There are so many resources out on the web and stuff about hummingbirds and how to attract them and what flowers they like and da 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 da, that I wasn't going to bore ass everybody by doing that. But I did put a couple of links to a couple of sites that I like on the handout page. If you go grab that, get you going. Okay, so we're going to have to worry about two things in post processing almost every time. One is the fact that we're using too many flashes. And the other one is their throat. And it takes two to tango. The reason we're using 4 flashes in the array that we are is to try and get the best gorget, they call it, or throat colors that we can by hitting it from different sides all at once. So you can be on your game and you can have all this stuff set up, but if Mr. Hummingbird turns a little bit or does something else, you're going to lose some of that really nice flash that you're after. So I'll show you a technique to deal with that. So if we're shooting with 4 flashes, you're going to have 4 catch lights in the eye. And that's going to look wrong to most people. We want to see 1 catch light in there. So you can just go into Lightroom or Photoshop or whatever your favorite thing is and just clone these out. I just use the clone tool and make sure that it samples from somewhere else within the eyeball. Typically, you want to use the one that is the furthest forward in the eye and the highest. So in this one, I would save that one and I would clone out the other ones. Okay? Everybody probably already knows how to use clone tool. Yep. Okay. Sorry? Somebody? Nope. Okay. So this one's a little more interesting. We want the iridescence. You want that glow, and there's several parts to that. It's not just how you hit them with the flash. There is the lighting levels, the moisture in the air, what exactly the angle of view is when you happen to catch the little guy, and wear and tear on their feathers. They're fighting each other over the feeder. So as the year goes on, they start to get a little more ragged. They just do.
Take that photo.
No, this is the only one in this presentation that I did not take. And I think this is from somewhere down south, I would guess.
I was just curious,
Yeah.
'cause-
No, they aren't, that doesn't live here. But it was a really good example of iridescence. He's like he's glowing. So yes, you caught me. I smuggled that one in.
Could have taken credit.
So there's a bunch of different ways to deal with getting the gorget or getting that iridescence back. If you shot the perfect photo and everything else about it's great, except it just didn't flash enough. I'm going to show you one way to do it. Again, all of this is on the handout, so don't try and really memorize it right now because there's a few steps to it. But we can take something like this and we can lighten it up in Photoshop. The first thing we're going to do is copy the background layer. And then up at the top, do you happen to have, I didn't even ask you to do this. Can you switch to Photoshop?
It'll take a second, but yes, I can.
I'm sorry.
Talk
I'm
amongst you.
I'm setting him up here because this is not something that we talked about doing. But I can actually just kind of step you through the actual. Are people familiar with where the blending layers selector is up above on the layers panel? Okay. One of the critical pieces to this is to change that from normal. Anybody else have a question or anything you want to do while he's pulling that up? Yeah.
Is it possible to use the floor flashes, like you're out in the wild, and they're landing on flowers and that, and not use a background, like what
Sure.
would it look like? I mean.
Yeah, it's going to be blurry. Again, the stuff that's in sharp focus is only like 6 inches.
But
So yeah, it'll blur out. Sometimes it looks a little bit distracting when I've tried that. Like I said, I usually try and get a tree or a bush or something that's a little more monochromatic going.
Without a flash on it, I mean, if.
Yeah, you can do it
need
without
that
a flash or a flash. It depends on what you want. Of course, it's going to be black or near black if it doesn't have a flash on it.
Without a flash.
Yeah.
Because your ambient light is pretty much gone, right? Once you get past
Yeah.
the flash.
Yep. Yeah, so it's going to be really dark if not black.
Right about
The
in
first
here,
step is
when
to go up
the
to the
menu's
top
across is
bar, filters,
Filter,
camera raw,
camera
filter,
raw,
and
select a brush.
we're going to take a brush
again,
to
about
the gorget
0.35
with about
plus
exposure increased
about
somewhere around
0.15 on the shadow.
0.35,
And then just
and
paint
shadow
the
increased about the gorget
0.15.
and that will bring it up, and if you take that with a
tend to
small brush,
increase
and
the
then you just kind
contrast
of
on
work
it a
it
little
over the
bit.
hummingbirds. And then gorget,
We're going to do
what it's
another
going to do is it's going to
layer.
lighten it up. It's not going to add any color. It's just going to lighten it and lighten it up. So that's step
You hit
one.
the little plus
And
sign
then
here.
we're going to kind of repeat the same little
New layer?
technique. Okay. 4 times over with.
Okay, so
different
this is
colors.
our layer.
The next one is
layer blending mode.
So where it says normal, can you hit that arrow to the, yeah, right there. Normal is not going to work good for the hummingbird.
It's showing up on my screen, but it's not showing up.
It's not showing up there.
So
Okay.
tell me what you want.
Okay. Nope. There's
Everybody at home.
one that's soft light.
There's soft light, hard light, vivid light, linear
And
light.
there's a blend, right? About a third of the way down. Is there one that's called blend?
Darken,
or-
multiply. You can double up here. Sorry. Here's your lights.
Overlay.
Okay.
Overlay.
Now you can see it.
Yeah. So if you select overlay here, with the normal, it looks too painted on. So this just helps it blend a little bit better. There's 2 other ones that they taught us to use in this seminar, and I think one of them was soft light, and then there was a third one, but I'm sorry, I can't think of what it was right now. So anyway, we're gonna go to overlay, and then we're gonna take a brush and the settings here, we want to do a fairly small brush, somewhat soft, opacity of about 35%. And then you're going to pick out whatever color you want to color the gorget. Typically around here, that's going to be pink or like a raspberry color.
Bruce, you have flow at 24%, you want that at 50%, then if you're going lower on that opacity.
Yeah, flow on this first one doesn't matter too much. So you can leave that pretty high. So, and then you're going to paint it. Now it's got colors to it, but it's still going to look a little bit flat. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. So then in the so we're going to kind of repeat that same technique a few more times. The next one we're going to do is yellow. And if we take a bright yellow color and just kind of hit some of the highlights in the gorget, it to the eye, it looks more iridescent. So
Stay on the same layer.
no, we'll start a new layer for each one. So we're going to end up with a yellow layer and then a white, and we're going to drop the opacity down to about 12 or 13% or something like that. We're just going to hit the highlights with a little bit of white, and then we'll use black and just the darker areas. And then that's going to give it a lot more depth. Okay. I know that's probably really hard to follow, and I'm sorry. You want to flip back now? Ah! Ben, you're never doing this again.
Then if it's too much on a layer, you can change the opacity of the layer.
Yes.
Bring it down. So it's too yellow, then bring that
Yeah.
opacity down.
Yes.
To make it more natural looking versus, you know, way out there. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Something like-
I think it looks really natural now.
Yeah, doesn't that look good?
All right, I'm switching over.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions? Again, I've got that all laid out on the handout. If you go and to the website and pull down the handout, it'll go through that step by step for you. A little bit.
And the website is your website?
No, the photo club's website. I don't have a website. I'm just a hobbyist. Okay.
Why it's not switching to this?
Okay, we tell you what, I'm just gonna kind of push ahead, and if we have to go, if I miss something, we have to go back, then my apologies. But
You're back.
Yeah, but I'm trying to get it for the room. There we go. I can do it. Nope.
okay, well, does anybody know the difference between a carpenter ant and a regular ant?
What is
Carpenter ants are basically like every other ant, except rainy days and Mondays always bring them down. Okay, sorry, I just got to do something. Okay,
We did this.
okay, so yeah, so this is what we started with, and then we lightened it up, and then this is what we just did, the red, the pink. Yeah. Okay, no, that's the camera raw stuff, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Go from here to here with camera raw, so it did get a little bit more red. Okay, next one.
I skipped ahead.
Oh, did you skip ahead? Where are you at?
Let's see here.
No, this is still the pink layer. So
And this is the pink layer. Okay, one more.
Yeah, one more. Okay, the yellow layer, so is all it does, it adds a little bit of that iridescent to it. Okay, next one should be white. So as all we did was we dropped the brush opacity down to 15%, paint in a little bit of the highlights, and you get this. And then next one. Whoops. Okay, we
Yeah,
missed the,
you
oh, well, okay, no, I said just repeat the same with the black.
repeat black.
So, yeah, okay, go ahead, next one. So we go from this to this. So that was a long story, and I'm sorry for putting you through that. Okay, go ahead, Bruce, next one. Okay, and then we did a lot of composites, because as you're trying to catch the hummingbirds and they're doing all their acrobatics and stuff, what they had us do in the seminar was take pictures of flowers and then put the two of them together later. So this is just one of those. Go ahead, next. So this is a picture of the bird out of the camera. It was kind of cool. He had his tail feathers splayed. I took a picture of a flower. Yeah, go ahead. And then just put the two together. And so you can end up with some pretty realistic looking stuff doing that. Okay, go ahead, Bruce. And I already mentioned this. The other technique that they taught us to use is just put the flower in front of the feeder so that as he's flying in to get to the feeder, it looks like he's going for the flower. Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, before,
Oh, okay. Yeah, with just, yeah, the feeder in there and then just clone it out. Okay. And this is just a couple of more composites that I did. Okay, so once we have all of our stuff dialed in and tuned up, it's really easy to go either high key or low key. So high key, again, is bright background, pretty much pure white. Is all I got to do is take the colored background down, put it all white up. Like this. And I changed the power on this flash only from 1/32 to 1/16. And I'm shooting high key. And I think, yeah, so that all stays the same. Out of the camera, that's what you get. And then next one, Bruce. So all I did on this one was I brightened the background up to pure white in Photoshop. And then you can always take that one step further and send it to your mom on a greeting card. Okay. And we can do pretty much the same thing for low key. If I just change my background to all black. And I just still on 1/32 power. Turn that around so I give him some rim light to separate him from the black background. And now I'm shooting low key. Go ahead. Whoops. There should have been a low key photo in there. No?
that's it.
No? Okay. Okay, that's what I have for you guys tonight. Any questions? Anybody want to talk?
Essentially.
So when you do the turnaround with the low key, you're making sure that that's not pointing like at your camera, like.
Yeah.
To avoid like a flare or something.
Yep.
Like that pops in there.
Yep,
So,
I can
yeah.
stick them over there.
You don't shut it off.
No, no, we don't shut it off. If you did, you're going to get a black background. So just a little bit of rim light around him to kind of pull him out from the background a little bit.
And still at 1/16.
1/32. Yeah, the only time we're going to get off 1/32 is if we're doing high key and this light. Everything else always stays 1/32.
Do you just do this at home mostly? You
Mhm.
ever go out to other locations?
I do it on my deck. Yeah.
How many birds?
Yeah, hummingbirds.
Two.
Two.
Yeah, we have two. Sometimes we have three. Have a third one out in the yard, but
You have other birds also? Regular feeder and you shoot the same background?
Yes. yeah, I haven't tried other birds with this setup.
You probably wouldn't need the flash because the birds aren't as fast.
Yeah, they're not as fast. The whole goal here is to freeze the wings. So
What percentage of your shots do you composite? And the only reason I'm asking is because it seems to me you'd be able to cut out the hummingbird much easier on a white background than
Yes.
textured.
yes,
So I'm just kind of curious, you know, from doing this a while, do you composite a lot or?
Mhm. I don't know. Most of the ones that I would want to like show other people, yeah, I composite those. Yeah, so I've got a whole bunch that aren't, but yeah, if I was gonna really print it, hang it on the wall, I would want it to be a composite. So. Anything else?
When you had your class last year,
Mm-hmm.
did anybody have any Z9, Nikon Z9s? Because they have that sensing capability where you can set it up and then set it up for motion or animal or whatever, and it'll trigger when it sees whatever in an area. You can like define an area and say, I want it only if a bird enters this, and it'll trigger it when it sees a bird. I didn't know if you tried it.
No.
I read about it, I haven't tried it.
Yeah, not that, no, I don't believe so.
It's the lazy man.
Yeah, well, they had us all doing, pretty much exactly the same thing. And you see, it's basically, it's just a recipe.
Yeah, sure.
You follow the recipe and you're gonna get frozen wings and frozen hummingbirds in flight.
What are you using to trigger your camera?
Just a remote trigger. I've got, I don't know what brand it is, Bellow, just a radio trigger. Nothing remarkable. You can use a wired trigger, or I don't know if modern cameras have manuals anymore, manual triggers with the little thing, but doesn't matter.
And the reason I guess I was asking is because if you don't have a remote and you have to use wired or something like that, and you only have one hot shoe, obviously, and if you're using radio poppers or pocket wizards, you kind of need that as a remote and a remote thing. You almost need two sets of remotes.
Yeah.
Unlike an old DSLR.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wondering if you've ever just been close to your camera or.
I have, well, with the R5, that's not an issue. So no, I haven't personally. I would think there would be some way around that.
Yeah,
I've never confronted it.
Some cameras will connect to your phone
Right.
with their app, and you can just trigger it,
That's true too.
and they do, and it's pretty fast. It's usually Wi-Fi.
I will say that you are triggering pretty quickly. I mean, these little guys, they're all over like this as you're shooting. And I did find that my radio shutter the button was just not quite instant. And so I figured out kind of a way as I was there shooting to kind of hold it like half down almost, or if I just kind of cocked and put a little more pressure on the right, I could get a faster snap out of it. Just because of the way the
Really
buttons.
lazy and do interval and just let it take pictures every 15 seconds. If your flash is.
If you've got enough birds, if you've got enough subjects.
Right.
Yeah,
I guess if you
we
wanted
didn't
to,
do that.
tether cable and tether, but then you need a computer or something like that over on the second. The tether, like in Capture One, you can trigger it.
Yeah.
So do you own stock in Duracell?
No.
Cause I promise, yeah, cause I mean.
Yeah,
yeah,
you're gonna go through some batteries.
pretty fast.
Yeah, well, again, we're on 1/32 power. So
I guess.
It's slower, but yeah, you'll still go through them. Yes. Yeah,
That's why you need rechargeables.
yes.
Oh, of course, but yeah, it's still.
Yeah, you can go through some batteries for sure.
So how was the variety of birds in southern Arizona compared to here?
A little bit better. There were about 4 main species of hummingbirds
Down there?
there. Yeah. We were going after the, calliopes, you know, so they're kind of spotted in their gorget instead of just being flush. Those were prized, just because they were rare. But yeah, that was in August, and we were just outside Edgar. There's a family that had donated a ranch as a wildlife preserve, and so you go back in there. It's like 6 or 7 miles outside of Edgar, and the hummingbirds are they're everywhere. It's just amazing. Hundreds, probably thousands, and they have feeders up everywhere on the property there. There were a lot of people that came in just to photograph them that weren't part of our little group. So
You could go
really
on your
fun
own.
place. Yeah, you can go in there on your own. I think they asked for a
Well,
$5 donation or something.
Drive down there?
Mhm.
How long did it take you to drive?
I didn't leave from here, so I can't answer that. I was actually already camping over by Crested Butte. I went from there and back there.
Right by.
We're gonna go
So-
to Reno tomorrow. He's going.
Yeah. Anything else for me, guys and gals?
Yeah, no, this is the, yeah, oh, you have a question?
When you do your composites and you're selecting your bird, do you just use select subject on it, you know, just,
Yeah, mask it out, and I use copy and paste.
You can now use select object
yeah,
and draw roughly in the object.
yeah.
And it does a good job so long as the outside is, a different texture.
Yeah, because I don't know, that my next question was, after you select it, do you modify that selection by expanding or contracting or?
Depends on what it looks like, right?
Yeah,
Bring it in to the mask, select the mask and then look to see what the mask, because
yeah,
I've had it both ways,
yeah,
I mean, if the area outside of it is close, then maybe you can expand it a little. But if it's totally different, you might want to bring it in a pixel or 2.
especially if you have color contamination.
Right.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes back to Dave, probably white background and doing a high key is going to help you make that composite.
Now, with some of your background, did you just, before the hummingbird come in, take a picture of it? I know, you can expand it, do a filler in, but you could also just do a picture just of your background with it all blurred and then
Put a board
Mhm.
on.
put your bird on it type of thing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
So is there a particular hummingbird that you're trying to get or that you have gotten?
I just have fun.
This doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I'm not picky. I think they're really fun. It's really easy. You can, you guys are saying maybe not so much here. I'm in Monument. We have a couple of feeders. I have hummingbirds all the time. So I can go out on a Saturday and set this up in a few minutes and drink a beer and shoot a couple hundred photos. It's just fun for me.
So
And I guess part of that is I'm a helicopter pilot by training, and those little guys are just amazing. They're amazing. They don't have any air traffic control. They don't have any collision avoidance systems. They don't have any of that stuff, and they're still, out there doing it.
You turn on a dime.
Yeah, they're just a blast.
So when's
And you-
the workshop at your house?
You're bring beer.
Yeah, pay with beer.
Entrance 6-pack.
Yeah.
Depends on
Yeah.
the Pabst Blue Ribbon.
No.
Hummingbirds can
Free
be
two
pretty
beer.
territorial, can't they?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and that's what we're talking about, the bullies and
But if you have another one 6 or 7 or 15 feet away,
Somewhere around 15 feet, they'll
One of
stop
them
trying to
range.
defend them both. Yeah, no, they'll let one of them go. Yeah.
okay. So you have a ring of.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you
Thanks.
Yeah.
for putting up with me.
Do it sometimes just have a cup of coffee early in the morning. If I, we have a flower garden out front or whatever and that without flash and so forth, but I'm having to go, all the way down to like f2.8 and ISO of 3000. And I can, even with that, I can only get like 1/2000th of a second or something like that to maintain that. And naturally I get a little bit of blurs. I can't freeze
Yeah.
the wings, but it's interesting how with this, I would never think f25 a flash and so forth, and how you're using that flash to capture that quick that stuff.
Like I said, I looked to Google to see if maybe somebody else was already doing it and had it published and stuff, and I didn't find it anywhere. And again, I can't take credit for it. It was the instructors that led our seminar that came up with this, not me.
I know when we were doing water drops, we thought, oh, what if we got like, alien bees or something like that, that they don't produce that short flash, high speed duration that the little battery powered ones do. And that's what they were saying, is like you showed on the chart. So if you want to freeze something, these are the best way to go, because they, at the short duration, they freeze pretty quick.
Yeah, you can find flash used to freeze motion in a lot of different areas of photography. Just nobody's tried this. And using the lower power and stuff allows you to get in without a huge investment. And
Like I said,
this
these are the
is
only
kind of
ones that
overkill.
create that short duration flash that freezes it. Because I read an article that said, if you have the big power flash units, they have this slow decay when it flashes it, so you get blur because it's not instant, it's just slow. And even though it's higher power, it doesn't stop at like these battery power units.
Yep.
All right, any questions from people at home? Don't be scared, their mind go through another screen or something.
Yeah. Again, I apologize for putting you through that.
Hey, it was a trick.
That was totally impromptu. I didn't.
The bad thing was, I had signed out of Photoshop on this computer, so otherwise it would just.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
We will give you a little bit of time, wherever you go.
Going back.
And this will be recorded and,
I'm excited.
we'll see you, what's the next one? The exhibition?
With the same people.
Yes, that would be whatever, first Wednesday in
Exhibition,
the competition. Yeah.
competition,
The competition that is April 3rd. And
April 3rd.
That one is motion and leading.
Motion and leading line. So there's a theme. All right. Everybody have a good night. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye.